right, thanks for staying with us. You're watching Newsnight, and I'm trying to sieve through some of your messages as well. Let's take a look at your tweets, and I'll read a few SMSs. 22422 is the SMS line, and the hashtag is Newsnight. Okay, let's see here. Edgar Elirot says, can you ask the LSK boss about the petition that's been filed by activist Okiya Omtata over the DP resigning from office? Maybe, are you aware of that petition?
Intellectual idleness. The Constitution is very clear. There are certain state officers who are exempt from the requirement that they must resign before. And these are some of the barbs that are being thrown, you know.
It's a political ploy in your view?
Yeah, they file it, you find it as a headline in the Star. They got nothing to publish, but all this nonsense.
You call it intellectual?
Idleness.
Oh, my goodness. Okay. Alex Mayore, you say, why don't political parties take responsibility by denying members in their camps who practice hate speech to run for elections? We don't have to wait for IBC to bar or prevent them from running for election. Tupunguzia IBC kazi. Indeed, they're on a tight budget. Okay. Miatren, you say, kindly ask Senator Kajwang, how Azimio aims to bring together Kenyans? How? What have they put in place? Which measures, apart from rallies? Senator.
I don't think rallies are just a sensitization tool that we're using to reach out to Kenyans. We are trying to build a political vehicle that will bring different shades and ideologies that are aligned to us. Of course, ODM is a social democratic movement, and even today in Parliament, today in the Senate, the Political Parties Amendment Bill was read a first time that will facilitate the establishment of coalition parties. We take note that many of the political parties in this country were formed on tribal and regional basis, which is unconstitutional. And to that extent, we agree, and I think the Deputy President has also been talking about parties that have been created, they are briefcase parties. I do recall the late party leader of Tip-Tip, Kalembe Ndile, and I remember there's a nomination or an election where he was a thriving entrepreneur, because once you lose the nomination in the main party, he would quickly sign for you a nomination certificate for a small fee. We want to make sure that we have a coalition of parties that are grounded on ideology. Some of these parties, and now I'm not talking about the tip-tips, I'm talking about significant parties with presence in Parliament and with greater regional representation. We believe that this country cannot be ruled by one formation alone, because of the fractious nature of our politics. In the past elections, people have been voting on ethnic lines. People have been voting on regional lines. We want to demystify that. Whereas the UDA camp are talking about a class war. They want to move one class against the other, as we want to bring regions,
is that
ideologies.
A fair statement to make?
That is my assessment, because I listened to the conversations in Eldoret, in Bomet, and in Kericho, and I've listened to them consistently, and that is the message I get. And indeed, Wahiga, I think Harvey took it wrongly. Demagogue is not necessarily an insult. There have been some demagogues that have been very successful.
I'm impervious
there are some demagogues that have been very, very successful. So we are trying to bring together these parties that represent different interests so that we can build a coalition that can run this country.
That's how you're uniting.
We do not want a one-man rule.
Okay.
We do not want a one-man dictatorship in Kenya.
Okay, let me read some more feedback here. Kelvin Kirui 12, you say, truth be told, if we are to fight hate speech, let the law be fair in fighting this. Let us all preach peace. Okay. Isaac Mwangi, PhD, you say, unfortunately, the probability of being elected rises with the degree of the toxicity of the tongue. The harder you hit the perceived opponents, the greater the support. Everyone must take responsibility. Peace has become a perishable good in this country every election. Okay. Charlo Ward Rossi, you say, we have laws that if implemented fully, no politician will even think of uttering hate speech in political campaigns. The problem we have as Kenyans is that we support such leaders, even allow them to vie in various offices. They should be barred from vying. Charlo, that's your message. Jalal, you have a challenge with Nelson Harvey. You're saying he's in fresh waters. A greenhorn is how you describe him. He doesn't know that words in politics are the fuel, the lighter, and the wind for an inferno. Harvey, can you respond to Jalal? I want to give you a right of reply.
No one ever rose but he who was down. No wonder, therefore, our bottom-up economic model.
No, it's not about bottom-up. It's about you. It's about
okay.
you.
I'm very proficient in English. My comprehension is without doubt. I'm a greenhorn. I'm in new waters. I have potential to grow and prosper. Nothing wrong about it. Nobody was born mature. And I have no apologies for it. Throughout my life, I've grown, learning new things. Those who don't want to learn have a big problem. I'm prepared to learn.
Could your tweet on Saturday have been a greenhorn's tweet? Because he's concerned that your tweet did not take into account that words can fuel, light, and provide the wind for an inferno.
Now, you see, Wahiga, people of my orientation take a lot of time to consider what they say and will often not apologize because our pronouncements are well thought. And history will prove me right. Ithika Lenturi will be acquitted. You understand? This is a politicized enterprise. I will not participate in a mob lynch, however many the people in the mob lynch. I'm forthright, I'm determined, I do that which is right, even if unpopular to the majority. That is me.
Well, I think it would be unfair to call Javier greenhorn. You don't become an LSK president by being a greenhorn.
It's okay.
It's one
I'm
of the
impervious.
It's one of the most important positions. And you see, Waiga, and that is why what Javi says, he cannot be excused as a greenhorn. When he defends Mithika Linturi's Madwadwa utterances, he cannot run away saying that he's a greenhorn. This is an experienced politician who knows what he's saying, who believes in what he's saying. It's in his DNA. Perhaps those Madwadwa things, he believes in it. And that's why he's defending Mithika Linturi.
He's not defending Mithika. Of course,
he's not defending Mithika because he's a greenhorn. He is not a greenhorn. This is a perfect politician. We are with him on the other side. Before he... perhaps it's the indoctrination I was talking about. I withdraw the word count.
You know, Waiga Maura, permit me just to progress. We are reading a 70-page novel, and my friend is just determined to read a one-page poem with a recital in Swahili Kibwagizo. He keeps on going back to it. Evident lack of progression, retarded growth in communication. Now, I want to appeal to the people of Kenya, of all walks of lives, to embrace the bottom-up economic model. Here in UDA, we have space for everybody. We're not balkanized. We are not ethnicized. We are not grouped. You will find lawyers. You will find doctors, teachers. You'll find the youth, the women. We don't disparage women. We encourage them. We empower them. No wonder they will use this to bring us down. But this is the way to go. This is the way for Kenya.
And I'll call you next time, and I think we will have a discussion now on the strengths and challenges of political parties. President Harvey, Lionel Kiongozi, you say in matters of cohesion of the country, all politicians should take a lead. It's not a matter of sides. And if I can just read one question here, a message rather on 22422, you say, Wahiga, tell them we are watching them. This is not a time for politics. The subject is tongues and handcuffs and solutions to this big question, okay? And let me see if there are other ones as well. Sir Nixon Dugira, you say it's now evident politicians and bloggers are working, pick negative lines from their opponents to use them as whips as well. As we wrap up this discussion, one, a very interesting message there, that the more rabid your tongue is, the more likely you are to get elected. Is that a factor in politics today? But someone else here saying, ask your guests for solutions. We've hinted on that a little bit, but I want to give you each a chance to have that as we wrap up this discussion. Senator, maybe it's fair that I start with you.
It is really unfortunate that what the viewer has said is true, that the more radical you seem to be in defending your kingpin, the more the voters want to embrace you. And I think that has been part of the negative side of our politics. The self-regulation that has been proposed by Kuria, and which a viewer has also extended by saying that political parties should play a role by vetting those people who are running for positions and looking at their history and making sure that they are not electing people with excess baggage, that would help. We have come a long way when it comes to multi-party democracy. We have come a long way when it comes to strengthening political parties. And that is why some of the amendments that are currently before Parliament will empower political parties to have the financial resources, to have the discipline, to have the structures, so that they can be able to carry out elections in a manner that helps to weed out those people who seem to have baggages that should not be brought into Parliament. I think that that would be a starting point. Of course, our criminal justice system should also be alert, and we must also invest in early warning and detection systems. If we think that national unity and cohesion is expensive, then let's look at what happened to Rwanda. Millions and thousands and thousands of lives that were lost and millions that were displaced. If we think national unity and cohesion is expensive, let's look at Somalia. There is a generation that is voting now, probably voting for the second time, that has never seen Somalia as a nation state. Yet at independence, Somalia and Kenya were at par. If we think national unity and cohesion is expensive, Wahiga, look at even the United States of America. Just the other day, Joe Biden delivered a scathing speech at the Capitol, reflecting on what happened about 1 year ago at the Capitol when those who did not accept the results of the election came and raided the Capitol. There are many examples, be it in Yugoslavia, be it in Armenia. There are so many examples. We must invest in national unity. We must invest in a political leader who prioritizes a national identity, national values, and national ethos. Those have been very consistent terminologies coming from the mouths of my party leader. When he declared he was running for president in Kasarani, nobody uttered words like Badoadoa. Nobody scandalized. Yes. Nobody scandalized anybody because of the color of his skin. Our party leader indeed said is running for president, not because he wants to compete with anybody or because he's against anybody, but because he believes that he's got ideas that can transform this nation. And I believe, Wahiga, that in 5 years, it is possible for us to overturn the headlines that we saw today. 53% poverty rate. That is unacceptable 58 years after independence. But it is only through investment in that national unity that even the concepts of bottom-up, which perhaps Harvey should have been asked to explain, because after parroting it for the last 3 years, Kenyans still don't understand it. But those Kenyans who have been afflicted, those Kenyans who have been displaced, those fishermen who are kicked out of Naivasha, those farmers in Molo who are told to go back to Kisii or wherever they came from, they understand that with a united and cohesive nation, they can work anywhere, they can employ their productive energies anywhere, and we can grow the economy of this country.
Okay, thank you, Senator. President, polls coming up in the next 7-8 months or so, Kenyans saying we want peace. What does that path look like, even as you give us your final thoughts?
UDA is a party of peace. Our opponents are merchants of fear. We are preaching hope, prosperity, and a good future. You see, you have the rear mirror and you have the front windshield. If the horizon is clear, don't keep looking at the rear mirror. Drive forth. We are driving forth. And it is our expectation that as many as there are Kenyans eligible to vote will embrace this model. And let me just pick one of the questions that was raised, that bloggers and politicians pick segments of what has been said and propel them out of proportion. That is exactly the position. Let us contextualize issues as they are. You cannot come to a class, as you brought us to a class here, you give us an examination history, yet somebody proceeds to answer a question in home science. I mean, it turns logic over its head. When we say we need the people of Kenya to vote 6 peace, from president to MCA, we just mean that, and it's for good purpose, so that we don't have shaky governments that propel whoever is in power to seek solace outside in terms of handshake. You waste 4 years of economic development that you've set out in your 4-point agenda. We want a government that is able to deliver. And it's for that reason that I plead with the people of Kenya to find favor in UDA, to vote in Deputy President William Samoei Ruto as the president, and to vote in all other aspirants vying on account of this progressive movement. That is the only way in which we will achieve hope. Otherwise, you will continue buying fear day after day. You will continue buying fear in every market, because the only commodity that our opponent have is fear. And they're selling fear every day. You need not fear. You need to have hope. It's only with hope that you'll see tomorrow, a peaceful tomorrow, one promised by UDA. Thank you.
And those are the words of Nelson Havi, LSK president. For how long, may I ask?
Well, in American political terminology, I've effectively become lame duck. My cabinet will not listen to me. The Congress will not listen to me. Nobody will listen to me. But that is growth. You must leave certain people behind. You must leave certain ideas behind for you to progress. It's part of growth.
Indeed, nobody will listen to him.
I leave office on the 24th of March.
24th of March.
24th of March. My very good friend here, I wish him the very best. From that side, he appears to be one of the few polished, elegant, and articulate, honorable gentlemen. I look forward to working with him in Parliament.
Our ranks are deep. Our ranks are deep.
Senator, any advice for Havi on this path that he wants to pursue?
No, the good thing about Havi's legislative journey is already in Parliament, he knows where the tea is served. So he has already ticked one box. So what I'll just show him is where the pigeonholes are. I'll also show him...
I occupy the kitchen. I don't need to be given directions. That's the first thing a serious soldier does when you occupy territory.
He knows where to find the tea.
He knows where to find the tea.
Yeah, he's been there before. He came to storm and occupy Parliament. And then...
By the way, you guys are in office illegally because Parliament is unconstitutional.
When he came across tea...
So the earlier you stop this...
I think we have this up.
All right. I wish him well. You know, Wahiga, I wish him well. I'd love to have someone like Havi sitting in the opposition benches. He will keep us awake.
That's why we wrap this up. We will call them later on when campaigns are on proper. Although campaigns have been going on for some time, but I think we'll have to have these two gents back on. At least we finished with a bit of a smile, even though these are tough times for the country economically, but also politically, with the kind of sentiments that have been in the air over the last couple of days. It's been about tongues and handcuffs, and we really hope for better days ahead in the run-up to the election. And of course, here on Newsnight, we endeavor to bring you leaders to discuss issues that are real, to discuss where we've come from. You can't forget history, where we are, and where we need to move forward to as a country. Thank you so much for having tuned in. Let me thank my guests, LSK President Nelson Havi. Thank you for your time this evening.
Anytime.
Together with the Senator of Homa Bay, Moses Kajwang. And to our viewers, thank you for tuning in, wherever you watch us from in Kenya and around the world. In Kenya, I certainly hope the power is now back, wherever you're watching us from. And we'll keep updating you on that situation, should there be more to speak of. But on behalf of the whole team that's made this broadcast possible, our sign language interpreter this evening has been Joki Shege. Thank you for tuning in. Have a good night. Stay safe, and peace in this country. And adherence to the law, may I also add. Very important at a time like this. Good night. We'll see you soon. Bye-bye.